Matt. Well, no Cowboys game this week, so you're 1 week off of
Yep.
venting slash celebrating.
It
It's
was a
all
nice, relaxing, stress-free week of football. Put it that way.
you could just sit back and watch everyone else without having to worry. Um, so yeah, at least I'm sure you'll have a lot to say after next week because then it'll be like 2 weeks built up. But until then, I guess we'll start with the Dolphins because there was some vetting interest from you in this game since we're taking on the NFC East and current number one seed in the NFC, Philadelphia Eagles. And, I knew going into this game it was going to be a challenge, obviously. You're playing in Philly, it's one of the toughest places to play. We kind of know like how Eagles fans are, right? It's the city of Philadelphia is just a proud sports team. So going in there, it's a tough environment, and I mean even going into the game, we're still out Devon Achan. We are yet to have Jalen Ramsey come back. And we also didn't have Xavier Howard in this game, which I'll get to a little bit later, but I thought was a big loss for us. I'll get to that one a little bit later, but we also, on the offensive side of the ball, we're out our starting left tackle Teron Armstead, Connor Williams, and one of our guys goes down during the game. I think it was Isaiah Wynn, um, or it was Lamb. I'm not sure. Whoever the left guard was ends up getting hurt. On one of the first plays of the game, so we lose him. So it was rough going in, and then to lose another guy, you're playing with three guys really that are backups on that offensive line. You kind of feel it throughout the game, but overall, not surprised that we lost. I was actually I'll get to some of the good first. The defense I thought played well through three quarters. Held up pretty well. I thought against that Eagles offense. AJ Brown, man. I mean, he's just you know he's on a heater right now. I think he has five straight games with 125 yards or more, which is I don't know if that's a record, but I know they were talking about that all night in the fourth quarter. But they really couldn't stop him. Jalen Hurts couldn't really stop him once he got outside of the pocket or wanted to run. But I will say I thought the defense gave us a chance, especially the pick six. I thought with what we had out there, couldn't ask for much more from defense. Fourth quarter, I think they were kind of just run down, to be honest. Like I think they were just tired. Philly was just gassing them. I think the game was pretty much over at that point. But I wanted to shout out the defense because I thought, they kept us in it for the most part. Um, but let's just get to the game overall now. So offensively, struggled to run the ball. And this offense, going into it, we had 15 rushing touchdowns and 15 passing touchdowns, almost 500 yards a game. With 100, I think we're leading the league in rushing as well. But early on, you could tell that Philly D line, man. I mean, we know about it, but you could just see and feel their presence, right?
Well, it didn't help
Especially
that you guys were playing with backups too, and,
exactly,
and against their
exactly.
line, that's kind of the mismatch of the game, you could
Right,
say.
right. I truly thought that was the biggest swing point or I guess mismatch that you could feel, right? Not so much, the Eagles secondary, yeah, they have some big names, but they've been getting gashed a little bit in that secondary. But man, you feel that defensive line, and you saw it early. Hassan Reddick was making plays off the jump, shutting down runs to the outside, getting pressure. Jalen Carter obviously still somehow landed in Philly.
Can't believe that.
We'll never really know about that. And You got the vets, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and they really go what 6 or 7 deep. If we're like being completely honest, like
Yeah,
they
they
can
got
rotate out a fresh
big Jordan
line.
Davis too.
Jordan Davis, yep. So I mean, just you got to tip your cap to them because I thought they affected the run, threw off Mike's game plan a little bit, and threw off the timing on Tua, and you know you got to give him props, especially like you said, 3 backups in the game on the road. Yeah, that's good. That's a tough way to win, I must say. But overall, I thought I'm not going to talk about. I'm saving the penalties.
I'm gonna
But
say you've been pretty quiet on that subject.
I'm good. I'll get to that. But I'm not trying to talk about the penalties. I thought Tua actually played pretty well, except that one throw at the end of the game. Um, I don't think that was the best decision there. You're in field goal range. You can take points. At least make Philly march all the way back down the field again after the kickoff. Right, you never know what can happen. But he tried to force a ball to Raheem, who also looked like he kind of got held. That one wasn't as egregious as some of the other ones, but that one also, there was contact before the ball got to Darius Slay for the pick, no flag. Um, that one, like I said, Tua just has one of those where he feels desperate, got to chuck it up, try to make a play, and in that situation, a little bit understandable given the circumstances. But really, I thought that was the worst decision that he made all game. Never really put the ball in harm's way other than that. I thought he played a pretty clean game, was getting the ball out, as quick as he could without the run game there. Had the nice ball to Tyreek. Had a couple nice ones to Cedric Wilson, actually. One of them on that scoring drive where he hit him, for like 29, 30 yards on 3rd and 18. I thought that was a huge throw in that moment. So just nice to see that, even with everything going on, it wasn't affecting him. Even Tyreek had a drop on 3rd down, hit him literally right in the hands. Um, but I thought, he played like decent. It was good. I thought it was good. Like C plus B minus, nothing special. But I mean, Jalen Waddle also went out in that game, right? But what are you gonna do when your line is collapsing all the time? There's penalties putting you in second, 1st and 20, 2nd and 15s. Like you just can't win games doing that, like point blank. Um, especially against a good team like the Eagles, who are gonna want to control the clock, keep you off the field. Um, so I would give him that grade because I thought with what was presented with him, I think he did okay. But yeah, the penalties, Matt. I mean, obviously, some of them I can see. Like I'm not gonna say the penalties were the reason we lost the game. The thing though, I will say that just watching, right? And looking back and seeing the clips on Twitter and all this stuff, like I've never really seen it so one-sided. Like truthfully, maybe, I you can call me biased, whatever it is, but I wasn't the only one, complaining about the penalties. You can look at all the big sports pages, Pat McAfee, even Skip Bayless was tweeting it. Shannon Sharp was tweeting
Skip
about
is a
it.
little biased, but yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
Skip
I
is
agree.
biased, but he's anti-Tua. He's an anti-Tua kind of, bias. Also anti-Eagles, obviously, but even for Skip to chime in, how was that not PI? Shannon Sharp. Well, I thought that Cedric Wilson one definitely PI, and I think a lot of people did. We weren't the only ones, especially on replay. Even Terry McCauley is the
The replay
NBC
official.
replay official is saying, yeah, no, that's definitely he grabbed his face mask, right? That was an egregious one. But to me, it was the holds that were getting called on Miami and not called against the Eagles. So maybe I'll like put out something this week, or I'll retweet the stuff that I was seeing on our page. But the egregious ones to me were the holding calls. So couple big holding calls killed drives and took points off the board. The first one, Tua hits Tyreek on 3rd and 3 inside the red zone for a touchdown, right? Our third string guard at that point, gets called for a hold, and okay, I could see it. It was, he hooked him. It wasn't one of those egregious
But it was like a
jersey
quick
tug.
hook though, you
It was
know?
like a quick. It was like, yeah, it was like the clothesline, right? But
Right.
it was like he hit him and he dropped it, kind of thing. It's not like he hooked it and was riding, the defender to the ground. It was kind of like, oh, stick my arm out because this guy's gonna go free, right? And then, oh shoot, he hit me and I drop it. I thought down, okay, you know what? You want to call it? That's fine. My only thing is call it both ways, right? That's all you can ask for. That's really all you can ask for. And you know, you'll live with it because you can replay it, you can see that one, you can see one of them. Christian Wilkins kind of gives a little half shove to Jalen Hurts, right? Gets the roughing the passer call, a little bit of a flop, I thought, by Jalen. It was one step after. Terry McCauley also said that one too. He didn't think that one was roughing the passer, but I mean, he put two hands on Jalen. So be it, whatever. But then another holding call that took away a first down. It was a quick out, and our tight end Julian Hill gets called with a hold. And that one was really, I had no idea what the ref saw. It looked like he kind of maybe wrapped his right arm around the defender for like half a second or something, but like he's just trying to, like make a play. He not trying to grab or do anything. That one's a hold, gets called back. And then to see on the flip side, our some of our linebackers I thought played really well. Jerome Baker, David Long against the run. And there are a couple that they were highlighting, on Twitter. Our linebackers are shooting gaps, and guess what? They're getting clotheslined. They're getting clotheslined to the ball. Nothing's being called. One of them actually turned out to be a sack. Jalen Phillips beats Lane Johnson off the ball. Lane Johnson is literally holding him in that same position all the way until he gets to Jalen Hurts. I can retweet this stuff and I'll like post this stuff again if you guys don't believe me. But that really, as a fan, right? You know, is the frustrating part. Yeah, ticky tack fouls. Okay, whatever. You call them, you call them, but at least both ways. And not even ticky tack at that point. It's like egregious holds that you're blatant, like that are not being called for the Eagles. Whereas, like you said, the quick kind of arms or, stuff that are getting called against the Dolphins. So that to me was like the biggest thing. At least we got, the ball don't lie on one of them with the Cedric Wilson one because everyone could see that one. And then, Jalen Hurts throws it right into Kader Kohu for the deflection pick six. But to me, yeah, that's just the most frustrating part, Matt. I'm sure you know this too, right? Yeah, I'm sure if that was the Cowboys, you'd be screaming your head off at the TV. But that's really all we can ask for. If you're gonna, call the game that way, fine. Just like an umpire in baseball, right? You're gonna call a ball off, the strike zone. You're gonna call a ball out for us when we're in the batter's box. Fine. All right, that so be it. Just make sure you're calling those ball outs when the other guys are up to hit, right? Because that's all you can ask for. Umpires are human, but when it's not consistent both ways, that's the part to me that is just so frustrating. And to have it happen against your team, just bad. So that was, my rant. I thought, okay, Eagles are a good team. No need to panic. We're 5-2. We still have a lot of games left. I actually think it's good we lose this game, to be honest. Um, with everything, that was going against us to still be competitive until the end. Uh, Refs, injuries, all that stuff. I think it's this team can learn from it, can build from it, and they'll be better moving forward. That's what I'll say because at least they didn't give up. This team never gave up. Mike was still trying to go for it on fourth down 2 touchdowns. There's no quit at least. I didn't see guys quit in this one. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. Have a big game against New England, who looks better now. So that's not, walk in the park divisional game. At least we're at home for that one. So that should help. But really need to get that one. So we're 6-2 going to Germany to face Kansas City. So looking for a big rebound week from the Dolphins all around. And who knows, maybe we get Jalen Ramsey back, which would be a huge addition. And yeah, just really quick, I was going to talk about Xavier Howard. The reason we missed him so much was because I'm sorry, I love Kader Kohu. I think he did great in what he was thrown out there to do, but he just can't stay with AJ Brown. Like AJ Brown is just
Well,
too big,
well, to be fair, I
too
don't think a lot of
physical.
people can stay with AJ Brown
You're
at this
right. You're
point.
right. But at least Xavier Howard, all pro, leads the league in interceptions, or even you want to see Jalen Ramsey on him, right? That would have been a great matchup. I'm sure everyone would have loved to watch Jalen Ramsey against AJ Brown. But you could just see AJ Brown was just too big. Like honestly, just too big, too strong, breaking tackles, making the contested catches, and there's nothing Kader Kogu could really do there. So if we do see the Eagles again, hopefully it's Dallas. So, but if we do see the Eagles again, I want to see that everyone at full strength. So leave it at that, Matt. That's my
Yeah, I knew you were gonna have a long rant. I knew you were frustrated because I would be too if that was Dallas, especially against the Eagles, my goodness. But it was kind of the opposite. I'll only say one thing about the penalties. It was kind of the opposite of Dallas's last game on Monday night against the Chargers because it was penalty after penalty. Granted, both teams not the most disciplined when it comes to fundamentals,
right.
but at least as a Dallas fan, okay, yeah, they're calling penalties on my team, but at least they were calling it on the Chargers to make it even. So I wasn't like, what the
Yeah.
hell, like the Chargers aren't getting any calls, like Dallas isn't getting anything. It was fair. Both teams are getting the calls, but the fact that a team can have no penalties in the NFL
None.
now, that's what really is they need to investigate that.
10-0. Like 10 penalties to
That's
0. That's
That's the thing. It's the zero. You're telling me they had no penalties? They played a clean game? Like
100% clean. Like
that's complete BS today. I don't care if you're the most disciplined team. You're gonna have one penalty. That needs to change. So that's the only thing I gotta say on the penalties. But for the Eagles, nothing really surprised me. I don't think they played great, to be honest. Miami did help them, I think, somewhat. They did get lucky because Miami was down a few guys, so that made them a little better up front. But I'm not going to take anything away. That last drive the Eagles had to kind of close it out with the Gainwell touchdown. That's a championship drive. Keeping the ball away. That's their
so
specialty.
agonizing.
So
That what 3 tush pushes? Like, come on. Oh my
I
god.
mean, eight minutes off the clock. I mean, at that point,
Yeah, no.
you tip your hat to them
I
on that one.
I didn't have
That's a
any.
championship drive.
Yeah, couldn't complain about that. Just demoralizing.
But yeah, I was cheering for the Dolphins, man, but I guess you gotta let Dallas do it themselves. So we'll see
That's
those
fine.
Eagles in 2 weeks.
All right. Let's get to some other quick games. I know that was long, sorry. But other quick games before we get to UH. Um, Three big upsets. Monday Night Football just wrapped. So the Niners lose again, their second in a row at home, by the way. Oh no, 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 sorry, on the
On
road,
the road,
on the
they're on
road,
the
on the
road.
road. I'm sorry, they're in Minnesota. The Lions get absolutely boat raced by the Ravens. So yeah, helping out the NFC contenders. Not so good for my Dolphins, the AFC. But the big one actually that helped us the most was the Patriots beat Josh Allen and the Bills.
Heck
Um,
Jones.
yeah, Mac Jones, after looking completely clueless throughout 5 or 6 weeks, plays the best game of the season so far. and beats the Bills in had the lead, lost it, and then had to have the big drive to win the game. And gotta give him credit. He did his thing. Actually, thank you, Mac. I can't believe I'm saying that. Thank you, Mac Jones. But I don't know, Matt. Three pretty surprising losses. The Lions one just more so in the fashion that they lost after how good they had looked. I don't know. Out of those three, which one kind of shocked you the most?
Ooh, this is a tough question. I want to say the Bills, but to some degree, I can see how they lost because they've been pretty inconsistent. It's a division game. I don't take any division game for granted, right? For any conference, it's tough to win in your division because each team knows each other. So with that being said, the 49ers losing to the Vikings, that I was not expecting because I'm assuming the 49ers, they come off a tough loss. Everybody's saying, "Oh, it's okay, like, they're still a top team, yada yada yada." They're playing Kirk Cousins, who's the national choker on primetime games. No Justin Jefferson. The Niners, yes, they're without Debo, but Christian McCaffrey's there. Brandon Ayuk is there. George Kittle's still there. Fred Warner's playing in defense. Bosa, they still got guys. Trent Williams is out. That's a big loss. But they put up less than 20 points again against the Vikings defense. That's a little concerning to me. And oh, by the way, Brock Purdy looked human and looked like the 7th round pick that he was for the second week in a row. And what did we talk about? We talk about this all the time on the show. Brock Purdy looks good when the game is in game flow. He's game managing, but there's always going to be times in the season where you need your quarterback to make the big play, to have that game-winning drive, set you up for a win. To his credit, last week, he got them in field goal range. But this one, they needed one drive. It wasn't like, there was like 30 seconds, no timeouts. He had time to get down the field, and he threw a pick to close it out. It wasn't a good throw. He threw another pick earlier in the fourth quarter. So that's I don't know, 49er Nation. What you guys want Trey Lance back? I'm just saying, but doesn't that cause some concern for you? If you're a Niners fan, 2 games in a row, your offense looks a little shaky. So I just think I was expecting them to come out, dominate, win 30-14. Everybody's gonna go home. Okay, whatever, they're back on track. But here we are. Now I'm talking about the Niners. Same amount of losses as the Cowboys now. The Eagles now, I guess you could say, the best team in the NFC at this point. So just the circumstances. I'm gonna go with the Niners.
Yeah, it's close for me. I mean, the Bills are sorry, not the Bills. The Lions, okay, they laid an egg, right? It happens. Sometimes you just don't have it that day. Lamar looked
And
great.
Lamar was cooking. So
Lamar
you got
was
to tip your
cooking.
hat to him.
Lamar
Yeah.
was cooking. Jared Goff, similar, we talk about Jared Goff, kind of like Tua, Brock Purdy, kind of in that same class, right? Game manager-esque. Not sure, how they can do all the time just throwing the ball. Although I mean Tua does lead the league
Give me
in
Tua over Jared
passing
Goff.
yards.
I'll say
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I'll say yeah. I'll definitely take Tua over Jared Goff as well. 'Cause I think Tua has proven recently, not just a game manager. Anyway, that one, as shocking as it was, because we both had the Lions in our top 5 teams. Um, I get it. Out of division, kind of catch you. You're sleeping a little bit. Um, it happens, right? Bills one, it was close for me. I know it's a division opponent, but man, to lose to Mac Jones, it's just the like for the defense, that locked up Miami so well. To let up 29 points to a Mac Jones led offense. And let's be honest, you gotta tip your cap to Mac Jones because who is he throwing to? Honestly, Kendrick Bourne, Hunter Henry, right? Like
Juju.
Juju, Zeke, and Ramondre Stevenson. All right, I like Ramondre, but we know Zeke isn't quite the same as 2016 Zeke. So I really don't know what the excuse is because that defense. We've seen how good they can be against the top offenses in the league. So that one was close, but everything you said is why I got to tip my cap to the Niners
Ooh,
being the most
wow, I thought you were
shocking.
gonna pick the Bills.
It was close. It was close, but like you said, to no Justin Jefferson, the number one receiver in the league, arguably him or Tyreek or Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, whatever, flip a coin, any one of those guys. But you still have, Christian McCaffrey, like you said, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. Um, the defense is still there. And
They're all there.
you're telling me, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Greenlaw, all these guys, you don't sack Kirk Cousins once. Is the Minnesota offensive line that good? Am I missing something here? He throws for 378, right? Two touchdowns. Um, I will say, hell of a play by Jordan Addison to rip the ball away. Um, from Travarius Ward, who's they were kind of going at all night. But hey, maybe got to tip my cap to Minnesota a little bit here. For putting it together. Jordan Addison looks like he could be a dude right next to Justin Jefferson when he comes back. That's going to be a scary offense in Minnesota, especially if they get rolling. But yeah, like you said, um, to me the most egregious interception. I get the last one. It's hard. You got to make a play. 30 seconds left anyway. You got to just chuck it. To me, it was that first pick. It's what are you doing? You can't make that throw. Um, you know, his receiver kind of looked I don't know if he stumbled or what, but you want to talk about throwing with too much anticipation, maybe. Like, but even if like Jawan Jennings doesn't stumble, I still think he misses the throw. Like that's how
He
far
like
off.
stopped though. Didn't he like stop his
Yeah,
route?
well, I don't know what happened either way, but are you just that's just blind trust you're throwing a guy? You don't even want to see him run a clean route and on the break you hit him. I mean, maybe if that's how you're taught to do it,
Anticipation.
if that's how you're taught to do it with anticipation, so be it. But it just looked to me like even if Juwan Jennings runs a clean route, it's still kind of like not gonna hit. I mean, he was like 7 or 8 yards off the ball. So I don't know. To me, that was the one that killed him. Because you're trying to come back with what a minute, no timeouts. Yeah, that's gonna be hard to do in any situation. So that's why I'll give it to the Niners because I don't know, where's the defense? I thought Kirk was gonna really struggle and be under pressure all game, but hey, no sacks. He was getting the ball off fast. 378. Yeah, that's a good win for the Vikings. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. Maybe time for some heat or mild or medium level heat
Hmm.
in San Francisco. I don't know. Maybe they got to look at something. Something's got to change up
Yeah,
there.
the trade deadline's up. I will say it again. Trey Lance, you guys want him back? I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Okay.
He's just chilling in Dallas right now.
But yeah, that'll wrap our NFL football talk. Keep an eye on the Niners because 5-0 to all of a sudden 5-2. Huh. I don't know. This league,
And they play the Bengals next.
yeah,
Ooh, ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
So this league can humble you real quick, as they say. Um, but anyway, getting on to a little bit more of a personal and sad topic. We got to talk about UH, who were, by the way, 1.5 point favorites going into New Mexico State, and we lose 42-21. So Matt, uh, I don't think either of us were watching the game. I think we were both kind of just assuming we would win. Honestly, like you hear New Mexico State, right? Like, okay, that
New Mexico is New
oh,
Mexico.
is New Mexico? Oh, I'm sorry. Not no. Oh yeah, New Mexico, not New Mexico State. You're right. But either way, New Mexico also only had 2 wins going into this one, and we were favored. So obviously. you kind of expect a decent showing, but to lose 42-21, uh, I mean, what else can we say at this point? I feel like we've been repeating ourselves all season, Matt. Braden Shager, 3 picks. Rushing game. Let me check real fast. 58 rushing yards. Wow. Gee, I wonder where is Tylen Hines? I'm gonna just stop asking because at this point he's not gonna be on UH's team next year. I'm
Well, I
like,
actually do have. I heard from sources that there's a rumor that they might redshirt him this year
is
since
he
he hasn't been
hurt?
playing. That I don't know, but I heard there's a rumor that he could be redshirted this year because
Okay,
he just
so
hasn't seen the field. So it's like, okay, I guess, but
okay, so
why isn't
maybe
he on the field if he's not
maybe
hurt?
there are some personal things going on behind the scenes. I know we've been critical, but don't want to jump to any conclusions. We'll wait for an official report. Um, Hopefully everything's okay with Tylen Hines because
Well, he might have to play, honestly, because they did lose another running back,
oh
Jordan
boy.
Johnson. He got carted off, so they have Landon Sims, I believe, and he was Hines' backup going into the year. I don't know where Najee Bryant is, so they're kind of dropping like flies at this point in the running back position or the running back depth chart. So it's a very weird
Yeah, I don't know what's
situation
going
to
on.
monitor this whole year because there was
I,
so much hype going into the year with him, and to just not have him at all is a little strange.
um, but and the other point, Matt, I'll get to as well. Turnovers. We have no run game. And what is the thing you literally always say about defense? What is the first thing you want a defense to do? Stop
Stop
the
the
run.
run.
And what did New Mexico run for? 227 on the ground. You
Six
love to
yards a
see it.
carry.
6 yards a carry. You love to see it. They also threw for 200, by the way, too. So it's not like we were stopping the throws. He was 20 of 25. So when they wanted to throw, they could throw. It's like, what we lose Logan Thomas and our whole defense just we can't play defense. I don't know. I really don't know at this point, Matt. Um, we really, really, really needed this game if we wanted to win or to get to a bowl game because I thought there was still a
Oh, we're
chance.
not getting to a
I
bowl
no
game.
okay, but before I thought there was still a chance. San Jose or Nevada is the worst team in the country. Maybe we upset another two other one. We're cooked at this point. I'm throwing in the towel in the season. It is what it is. Let guys get reps. Let guys do whatever. And I know we have to talk about Oregon and stuff, but real fast, I just want to say, Matt, that I really, really think this goes back to the decision to hire Timmy right away. Because like I told, remember, I said I like Timmy. I want him to be the coach of UH for the future. I just didn't think he was quite ready at the time to take over a full college program after having very little experience, around that upper level of, coaching tree. He's the offensive coordinator, but never really had a ton of experience, doing that either. I still thought just, not ready. And now if people are going to start to turn on Timmy, that's kind of it, right? Because he's the local legend, he's the hero. I don't know. I think this thing is just getting worse and worse for UH. And we can come back to this, but I don't know. It might be FCS time pretty soon. I'm going to be completely honest. I think with how things are trending across the other schools, that we talked about before with the realignments, where does UH fit? I truly don't know that. So I'll leave it at that. It's a sad situation right now. Yeah, you give me your thoughts.
Well, to build off your point about Timmy, I think you gotta watch out. I think he should be on the hot seat, honestly. And I don't want him to be on the hot seat, but that's the nature of the business now. It's 3 years, right? That's kind of the benchmark to see some kind of improvement. But okay, we're a year and a half in. I see regression, to be honest. So yeah, he's not going to get fired this year, but next year he better be on the hot seat. That's all I gotta say. Because every game should be counting at that point. Because if we don't see improvement, like you said, FCS, that might be our only way. Or we cut the program, but it's like, why would you do that? Because we're gonna lose money in our athletic program. So what do, right? So the head coach hot seat, the FCS things, that's two valid points, I think, that should be really the top of the headlines at least next year, starting next year. But I'll leave it at that. UH is not going anywhere this year. So I don't know. Hopefully maybe they play spoiler, they get one win for the
Yeah,
rest of the year. But
they better beat
we're
Nevada.
cooked. We're
That's all I'm
cooked.
saying.
Yeah, we are cooked this year.
Yeah. Okay, Matt. No, we don't have a ton of time left, but why don't you just wrap up with Oregon, whatever you want to talk about this past week, this coming week. Floor is yours.
Well, Oregon, tough loss against UW, but I said don't panic. Don't panic. Yes, we lost, but everything is right in front of us because of how deep this conference is. And they get Washington State at home, who is a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're going to beat some teams in the Pac-12 this year. They got a explosive offense that can put up stats and numbers. And for the Oregon defense to really kind of weather the storm a little bit. First half was a little shaky, but second half they came out, put their stamp on this game, and they let Bucky Irving do his thing. And he has been just on another level this year. Bo Nix didn't really have to do much, but he was, a clean game from him. The receivers are making plays. So it was a bounce back win for confidence purposes. I like that because next week is the big test. They go to Utah, tough team. They've owned us the past couple of times. They just come off a big win against USC. So I'm expecting a kind of physical, tough matchup, possibly low scoring, honestly, with Utah's defense. But Oregon, they should come out of this one because Cam Rising is not playing. They did announce he's not going to play the rest of the year. So they're basically playing with a backup quarterback. So I need to see them take advantage of this opportunity, make Barnes beat you late in the game. I don't think he can. And I think everything's right in front of us still. It's still there. So one game at a time. And the Ducks, hey, if we win out, they'll be in the playoffs. So I'm still confident. We're still number 8 in the country, too. So that's a good sign. But on to Utah next week.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully, well, maybe I'll just cheer for Oregon or Oregon State. I don't know. One of those two. The rest of the way, because
Well, I
I don't
hope
even want
Oregon
to cheer
State
for
wins
you.
because they can collision course in the Civil War. That would be good.
That's true. Maybe,
Last Civil War.
Oklahoma. Be an Oklahoma fan the rest of the
Uh
year. That'll be a
Dylan
fun team.
Gabriel.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one to root for. Okay. Other than that, we'll wrap our football talk here. Got more playoff baseball coming down to the wire. Baseball season, in the beginning of the NBA season. So we'll get to some of that stuff. Stick around, and we'll be right back.
All right. Well, we got to talk about playoff baseball because as of now, we are recording on Monday. We do know one team that's going to be in the World Series, and it's not the Astros.
Not the Astros.
Yay!
Yay.
Hey, when Houston loses, the world wins. I'll say that. But let's talk about the ALCS. It was a pretty crazy one. The road team wins every game, which is kind of ridiculous. But kind of that game 5, which I would think we both thought was the turning point of that series. I thought they were cooked, meaning the Rangers. Jose Altuve hits a go-ahead 3-run homer in the ninth, trailing by 2 at the time. I mean, it was like almost like picture perfect, poetic. You
It's like
kind of
I hate him so much, but it's turning to the point where like you gotta tip your cap because he just
that was
comes through.
impressive.
It's like to me, it's like worse. It's like Brady, but worse because I was a Manning guy, right? So I used to hate Tom Brady because he's Mr. Clutch. Okay, blah blah blah. It's like after I saw that Atlanta game when I was watching it with you, the Super Bowl, 28-3. It's like okay, well, not much you can say now. You just gotta tip your cap. And my hatred for Altuve, maybe the hatred will still be there, but the respect it's earned 100%. I mean, guy is just clutch in the biggest moments too. Like that one, I was right there with you, man. I thought that was gonna turn the whole series on its head. And I thought Texas was cooked, honestly.
And I said, I think you can go back, check the recording. I was like, Texas was up 2-0. I was like, all they gotta do, just win one game at home. The Astros, you're not gonna sweep them. They're gonna be a tough team. They got championship pedigree. It's gonna be a 6, 7 game series, but just win one game at home. Make it easier on yourself going to Houston. No, they didn't even win any games. So I'm like, okay, well, they're done. And Altuve hits the home run. The bullpen has been the biggest question mark for Texas all year. Sure enough, it comes full circle. And game 6 was kind of, a little questionable there at the end. Texas, they get the bats going a little bit, the long ball. But really, it was a Jose Leclerc. His name's kind of a tongue twister. He's the closer for the Rangers. Blows game 5. He comes in for game 6. He's got the bases loaded. I mean, Astros one hit away from putting the fork in the series. And to his credit, he got out of it. It was a nail biter, but he got out of it. And then in the 9th, they finally got some breathing room. Mr. ALCS MVP Adolis Garcia, grand slam, broke that game
You gotta
open.
test that guy, man. Test that guy.
Yeah, probably.
He's
And
on one right now. It's
yeah,
crazy.
because of that home run, right? It saved the bullpen. They end up pitching Andrew Heaney in the 9th. I don't know why would you do that in an elimination game. Don't even take the chance. He shouldn't even be on the roster. But you know what? I'm not Bruce Bochy. Bruce Bochy. He knows something better than me. But I just would not have the balls to pitch Andrew Heaney.
Up
In a
seven.
uh, He got rocked in the Field of Dreams game. Like you think I'm gonna take that chance? Absolutely not. Not against the Astros too. But you know what? Game 7, it was just it was a beatdown. Your old boy Corey Seager got
It's
the
a bittersweet
yeah
thing to see because all I gotta say is we better get Shohei. Like we let Corey go, we let Turner go.
Trey Belly.
Oh, Belly, all these, even JT. Honestly, like let all these guys go. We better get Shohei. But I mean, I've been a Corey Seager fan, as you know, since he came up. Right, I had the shirt and everything. Um, just it's a bittersweet feeling. Like I'm happy he's doing well. Just wish it was in Dodger blue, not Texas blue.
Yeah, so you got Corey Seager on the Rangers. Well, I got some ex-Yankees on I mentioned Andrew Heaney. Aroldis Chapman is on the team, but I think the best one out of the ex-Yankees is Mr. Montgomery. He's kind of turned into their ace this year, but he comes in the middle of game 7, relieving who pitched today? Scherzer.
Scherzer.
Scherzer got yeah, something is not right with Scherzer, man. That's 2 starts in a row coming back from the IL. Kind of a concern, I would think, going into the World Series. But for Monty to come in like that and kind of weather the storm, huge for them. I don't know what's going on with him, man. He's just pitching on another level this year, and makes me sad because we let him go to the Cardinals for Harrison Bader, who, by the way, had a great postseason last year. So, but this year he was injured. The regression was there. So, as a Yankees fan, kind of makes me sick. But nothing new. Everybody leaves the Yankees. They start doing good. But the Astros, I mean the Rangers, my goodness,
Oh,
Garcia, another ridiculous game, 2 home runs. They just poured it on basically. Christian Javier, normally a clutch postseason pitcher,
yeah.
1 out. He got 1 out as a start. Okay, who would have thought that? But the Rangers, man, they did it. They took down Goliath. maybe, maybe I'll say maybe for good because I did hear that Dusty Baker,
Yeah,
the
Dusty.
manager, is stepping down. So I don't know if this is like okay, our time has come, it's passed. Is this maybe gonna be a tear down? Maybe not a full tear down, but it's like okay, maybe some of these pieces start to leave a little bit. So I'm praying that means the end of the Astros because I cannot wait for that team to be reduced to ashes. But this is about Texas. They won, they beat the Astros. I think we got to give Bruce Bochy some credit because the dude was on his couch last year in retirement. He comes out. I'm sure you must have some bittersweet feelings for Bruce Bochy being an ex Giant killer, 3-time World Series champ. But I don't know. I think he just really was that glue to the team, and the pieces just worked this year for the Rangers. So they're moving on. They don't know who they're going to play because the NLCS is also going to be in 7 games because the Phillies and Diamondbacks kind of going back and forth all series, right? Phillies come out swinging. The D-backs answer at home. Zach Gallen against Zach Wheeler in game 5. Zach Wheeler outduels Zach Gallen, which is a great pitching matchup. And kind of shockingly, I said Phillies in 6. They had Aaron Nola on the mound. It was perfect for them. And Merrill Kelly just said, not so fast. He kind of came in, weathered the Phillies bats, and well, anything can happen in a game 7, as we saw today's game. So as a guy cheering for the Phillies this year because of
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Harper, I gotta say I'm a little worried now
Oh, me
because
too.
I mean I'm sure you must be cheering for the Phillies too, but I don't know, man. I want to still I'm still gonna pick the Phillies. They have home field, but that they blew it. They had Aaron Nola on the mound. Now you got to rely on a game 7, and anything can happen there. So I don't know. You think the Diamondbacks are actually going to be another 6 seed getting to the World Series at this point?
Honestly,
I'm nervous.
I am nervous, right? But I think that well, I'll say this. I think shoot, what's the Phillies manager's name again?
Rob Thompson.
Rob Thompson. Yeah, I think he's gonna have to make a slight adjustment to the lineup.
I agree.
Um, the main thing, and I know Alec Bohm had a great,
That's a good point.
good regular season, but man, like there's no fear after Harper. Like honestly, I think it's the 1, 2, 3 like punch of Philly, and then you know what we thought. When Bohm is on, when Stott is on, when Castellanos is on, that is the fear, right? When JT is on, that is the fear that gets facing the entire Phillies lineup. But right now, Bohm and even Stott, Stott he's been up and down. I'll
I
say
like Bryson Stott.
yeah, he had a good games. Sorry, 5, good game 5. Um, he had a couple base hits, but you know he's been kind of up and down. Had the big grand slam, but then went cold. Now puts a couple hits here and there. But to me, Alec Bohm, it's almost like not an automatic out, but in that pressure situation, he's taking, pitches. I just don't think he's seeing it well or timing the ball up really well right now. Just in the bats that I see from him. So if I'm Rob Thompson, honestly, it's gotta be Real Muto or Castellanos put in that 4 spot.
Right.
Just something, give him a different look. Because JT, he's he hasn't the average is a little bit deceiving because he has the RBIs. He's been getting the hits when it counts, when guys get on base. And to me, boom, I just think it's too critical of a game 7 right now. Just drop him a little bit, maybe take some of the pressure off him as well. Just it's not a demotion thing. We just gotta shake it up. Something has got to just change. If it's me, I'm putting Real Muto maybe Castellanos gonna went, cooled off a little bit after that hot start, but I think you got to put JT in that four hole. You leave Stott because you want the righty lefty. Um, but yeah, if I'm Rob Thompson, that's a change I got to make. And then honestly, I don't know what we're gonna get out of Brandon Fott or Fat.
Hot.
You know, he
Yeah.
he had a he's been pitching extremely well so far throughout these playoffs, but he is still a rookie. It's a big game 7. And honestly, if I'm the Phillies, I feel pretty comfortable sending Ranger Suarez out there because he proved it last year in the World Series too. I thought he pitched really well last year, and he's been pitching really well for them this year. So I think you ride him as long as you can. If he's shutting down, those Diamondback bats, you ride him for as long as you can, because the bullpen is kind of been getting hit. They're kind of figuring out this Phillies pen. Even Alvarado, Soto. I mean, everyone hits Kimbrel as a Dodgers fan. I know that, right? But even Sir Anthony, what is his last name? Sir
Dominguez.
Anthony Dominguez. Like he's been getting touched up just a little bit. But the fact that they hit Alvarado the other night, it's like, oh man, like that's your guy, right? Um, so you got to really try. I'm thinking you ride Ranger Swords. Maybe who knows? Maybe Zach Wheeler is available for Game 7. I don't know because you
I
got to
think
win this game.
everybody's available except for
Yeah,
Nola.
everyone except for Nola should be there and available. You got to have everyone. And to me, the key is uh, it really, yeah, Bryce Harper. Obviously is the glue of the team, is the threat. But the thing that just to me makes the Phillies so dangerous is when Kyle Schwarber hits a home run. Like because it's either he's either hitting a home run or he's getting out. So when you get that extra boost from him, it really just sparks the entire team. Like Bryce Harper, it's less of a spark because you kind of are waiting for it.
You
You kind
expect
of
it.
expect, yeah, you expect him to deliver, or you expect him to get on base, or so be it. But with Schwarber, it's always like almost like a slot machine. It's like, oh, are you gonna hit it or are you not gonna hit it? And when you do hit it, it just sends the team to another level. So to me, I'm looking to see if Schwarber is seeing the ball well early. Trey Turner as well. To if the top three guys get going, that's gonna be the key, I think, for the Phillies. And you really got to stop the 2 and 3 hitters for Arizona. Marte and the
Moreno.
catcher Moreno have been on fire, big hits in big situations. You can't let those guys beat you. If Alec Thomas beats you, who has been hot, you got to kind of live with it. Longoria, yeah, he's been there, done that, but you really can't let 1 through 3 beat you if you're the Phillies. So, um, I don't know, kind of what Merrill Kelly did against the Phillies in Game 6, right? Pitch around Schwarber and Harper. You kind of really don't give either of them a single pitch to hit and just say, I'm going to go get everyone else out. And that's what he did. But big Game 7, the only thing I will say that does concern me for the Phillies is they didn't score late, right? Like you look at the Rangers, okay? The Game 6, yeah, it was a close game, but then you explode in the ninth inning. That carries over. I've seen it. I've seen it with the
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers in the World Series when in their World Series run. They're getting blown out, but hey, we put 2 or 3 runs up in the ninth or eighth or ninth. That feeling carries over to the next game. We saw it in this one in the ALCS. Corey Seager, first inning home run, and then Aldolis Garcia stays hot after that. The only concerning thing is the Phillies. They scored early, 1 run early, shut out the rest of the way in Citizens Bank Park. That's the only thing that's concerning. I still have faith in them, but I'm much more anxious than I thought I would be. I will say that.
Yeah, me too. And that's a good point that you made up about Harper's protection. So I was gonna say, Bohm, but he's not cutting it in the four hole. And they showed a stat of all the guys slugging in the playoffs. I think it might have been John Boy Media, I believe, but like Castellanos 1,000, Realmuto's in the thousands, like somebody's in the 900s, and then there's boom, he's at like five something. And I'm sorry, your cleanup hitter cannot be slugging five in the 500s. That's just a no go. So I don't know. If I'm the Phillies, I like what you said. I think Realmuto should be the guy behind Harper. He's the veteran, right? I think he was the protection last year in the championship run for them. So I don't know. Maybe go back to some of that championship magic. But in to some degree, I know it's not gonna happen. Like, what if you, since you didn't score a lot of runs, what if you kind of play around with the top? Like, okay, maybe Trey Turner should lead off. Let him get on base, steal, like, and then you put Harper. Maybe you have Short. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Like, do you just move Turner behind Harper to give him some kind of protection so he can hit? Like, I know it's not going to happen, but if I'm Rob Thompson, I still need to consider doing something because I don't want them to just walk Harper. He needs to swing the bat for them to win in Game 7. So I think it should be Realmuto. That's the safest pick. But
Mhm.
and then the other thing is the bullpen management. Both teams, obviously, you're going to deploy everything. You're going to get your best relievers. So it's who scores first to me is huge because if you get the lead,
Mhm.
then you stay on script, right? But if you're behind, you're going to start pressing. You're going to have to start throwing guys earlier, maybe in the game, and then say you do come back. Well, now you're kind of shortened out in the seventh, eighth, ninth inning, and you deployed all your guys. So it kind of puts you at a hole. So I need to see the Phillies come out, a Schwarber first inning home run or something like that, right? Just get the crowd into it, play to that home field advantage. But I think the Phillies, you mentioned the bullpen, they can Craig Kimbrell cannot be closing this game out.
Please, God.
He cannot. He cannot. I'm sorry. I know he's been the guy this year. He had a resurgence. But after that game 4, where he choked, they should have won that game. Craig Kimbrell had a meltdown.
I was ready. It
Alec
would have been. It could
Thomas.
have been Phillies in five. Like honestly, they were up, like you said in that game 4, and I was like, "Huh." I knew it was going to be competitive, but hey, game 5 games, and then Craig Kimbrell comes in.
Yeah, but I mean, he's going to pitch, but it's hard for me to trust him now in the ninth inning with the game on the line. So if there's a way for him to pitch, maybe the seventh, eighth, I would pitch Dominguez. I like his stuff. I think he's pretty nasty. Gregory Soto, all star before, but I don't know, his control has been a little shaky, so I can't trust him. I would probably have Alvarado close it out if I can. That would be the perfect scenario. But I'm not letting I cannot let Craig Kimbrell close this game out. I'm sorry. I think he's kind of lost that trust for me. But yeah, it's gonna be tough because Arizona is pretty scary. Maybe I don't know. We always talk about the Padres being the team that's gonna take down the Dodgers.
Oh,
Maybe it's gonna be the D-backs for the next 5 years. I don't know. But I guess hey, that makes a huge difference. If they lose tomorrow, that all that talk might go away. But oh, if they win, Dodgers better watch out. But I guess that
yeah.
goes to the point of everybody's bidding for Shohei. But it's gonna be a good Game 7. World Series is gonna be good. It's gonna start in Texas on Friday. Hopefully, it's the Rangers and the Phillies. We can see
Oh,
11
that
to
would be
10.
fireworks. I would
That
love
would
that.
that would just be an offensive showcase. So hopefully that would be good. Hopefully Bryce gets his first ring, but you got to win Game 7 first. So we'll see. But let's go Phils, I guess.
Let's go, Phils.
All right, that's enough for baseball. But we got to talk about the NBA because with the widths of the NFL, MLB, we kind of forgot that the NBA is starting tomorrow. Who's playing tomorrow? The Lakers are playing the Nuggets. It's ring night for Denver, and then the Suns and the Warriors tipping off. So, Mister Lakers fan over here going into another championship expectation season. What's your realistic expectation this year for your Lakers, and what do you think? is going to happen in year
Okay, well,
21 for LeBron?
yeah. If I'm being honest, um, I think the floor, absolute floor, should be with this roster. Okay, this is barring health of LeBron James,
And AD.
right? And AD. Um, but I think the floor should be the 7 seed, 7 or 8 seed. That's the absolute floor for this team. Too good, I think, roster wise. Brought a lot of the same pieces back. Chemistry wise, we know how we want to play. Um, you know, less adjustments, really. Not you don't gotta teach a ton of guys new things. I mean, there are, new additions, but I think we know how we want to play. And, with Braun and AD anchoring the point, um, I'm expecting a resurgence for Mr. Anthony Davis after last season. I think that's the floor as a 7 seed. I know the West is incredibly stacked. I think the ceiling is the 4 seed, the 3 or 4 seed, honestly. Your Denver's gonna be there. I think Phoenix is gonna be there. I think barring, yeah, Grizzlies is tough because the whole jaw situation. Um, but I think the Lakers will be right up there at the top 3 or 4 seeds. I think Sacramento regresses a hair. I think they'll be like middle of the pack, like 5 or 6. So I'm putting the Lakers up there. Um, I don't know. I just think that this team has grown a lot, and we just didn't have the firepower to match up with Denver last season. Like honest, I mean, no one did, to be honest, right? As we saw, but at least this year it feels like there's a chance. So I'll say we can get that 4 seed. I think we can get all the way back to the Western Conference Finals. Like honestly, because to me, the Lakers outside of Phoenix, um, made the biggest growth, the biggest jumps. So I think it's gonna be more or less the same teams there at the end. You got Denver, you got the Lakers, you got Phoenix, and then Clippers probably are there with a healthy Kawhi and PG. Dallas, I don't know if I can get behind Dallas with Kyrie and Luca. I'm gonna have to see how it works out because we saw how it worked out, down the stretch last year. I kind of called it right. I think Dallas is gonna implode after they got
Yep, you did
Kyrie,
call it.
and sure enough, they did. Right? There's only one ball to go around. I say that all the time. So I think it'll be a battle between those 4 teams. I think Golden State regressed a little bit. I don't think Clay is the same. I really want to see how Chris Paul is going to work out, but you can never count out Steph. Never. You can never count out Steph and Draymond. So I think it'll be a battle again, but I really think the Lakers can go to the Western Conference Finals. Like honestly, do I think they can beat Denver? We're gonna have to see how they look throughout the season, but I definitely think they can at least get back to where they were last year. So that's my kind of expectations on the season. And yeah, just looking to just more consistency throughout the regular season. Like we struggled so much with that roster in the first half of last season. I just want to see like good basketball, high chemistry, which was I think a big thing of why the Lakers went on that run after the All-Star break. You kind of saw personalities mesh instead of clash. Um, and in basketball, chemistry is a big thing when you got 5 guys on the court all moving simultaneously. Um, so I'll say just really want to, see the Lakers having fun, LeBron having fun, AD having fun, staying injury free, and I think we'll be fine.
I think, well, obviously that's the huge thing, but the chemistry is huge. I think you guys are going to have the same starting five to start the year that you guys had in the
Well, it sounds like
playoffs
Torian Prince might start
over Vando.
over Vando and Rui. So it sounds like Rui, Vando,
Yeah, I could see Rui off the bench
Gabe
though.
Vincent, Christian Wood kind of running that second unit.
That
So
well, hey, that's a solid Christian
yeah,
Wood as your
hey,
backup five.
that's a
That's
solid second unit right there. Like
yeah,
that's a borderline bottom tier starting five right
yeah.
there.
I
So
honestly, but I think the biggest difference for the Lakers this year, and I don't know how you guys got him, or I should say how this team let him go, is Gabe Vincent. The fact that you guys get him, he's kind of like a plug and play. Like I think you can put him on any contending team. He's gonna fit right in. Just the way that he plays, right? I mean, he's not. I wouldn't say Drew Holiday. Like he's not on that level, but he's a small guard, but he's tough. Like he's gonna play hard, but he can shoot, stretch the floor a little bit. So I think that's a super good piece that you guys added. And I think that's gonna take you over the hump because if you look on paper, Denver lost Bruce Brown. They don't win the championship without Bruce Brown. So I think that's a huge loss. And the Lakers, that's kind of their quote unquote Bruce Brown, right? Kind of a tough minded guy, scrappy, just going to do little things to help your team win. So I think that's going to be the X factor for the Lakers this year is Gabe Vincent. Might give him a little bit of time. Probably got to get adjusted to the chemistry, the rotations, but he should have a big impact down the stretch, in crunch time in the season. So I don't know. Are you excited about any new additions on the
I mean,
roster?
I'm excited for a lot of these guys. Just really get to see Austin Reeves in that starting role the whole year. Rui off the bench, I think he's gonna put up, 12 to 15 points a game for that second unit. Christian Wood, I want to see what he brings, help stretch the floor a little bit. But really the two, I guess, names I'm looking forward to seeing. One being so Max Christie, he was our rookie last year.
Forgot
Um,
about him.
he looks really explosive. Um, when he gets the ball in his hands, see if he can kind of be like a spark piece guy off the bench. And it's just so curious to me the Cam Reddish experiment. Like Cam Reddish has been
Mm.
going around the league for a long time at this point. Feels like it's been forever. Keep in mind he's only 24 years old, right? He is still pretty young, but we always hear about the potential that he has, the potential, and he looks the part. If he can develop, just accept a role of 3 and D. Like if he can shoot 35% from three and be a good perimeter defender, I think that's gonna be a huge boost to this team. Because I love Rui, but I don't think he's the best defender. I think he's a better offensive player than he is defensively. Vanderbilt, we know the kind of defensive guy he is. His shot isn't always there. So if Cam Reddish could kind of turn into a little bit of a Tarian Prince esque like 3 and D type of player, that's what I'm going to be looking forward to. I kind of know what I'm expecting for a lot of the other guys. Jackson Hayes, I think he's going to provide good minutes when he plays, explosive guy, almost like a Dwight Howard role in that championship run that we had in the bubble. So those are the guys I'm kind of looking out for, I'll say.
All right. Well, I would think the Lakers should have another long, long season. So obviously LeBron, got cheer for him. So I expect good things for them this year. But that's funny you mentioned Cam Reddish. He played for the Blazers before. So kind of a different tale of this team, right? They sold Dame kind of in that rebuild, but I'm kind of excited to see the Ant and Scoot backcourt. Is this just Dame and Brandon Roy, Dame CJ, Dame and Ant? Now it's Ant and Scoot. So I think that's going to be interesting. I think though this year the Blazers continue the fire sale. If you can trade Malcolm Brogdon, trade him. If you can trade DeAndre Ayton for stuff, trade him. Robert Williams, kind of a hit or miss. I see the potential there, but if you can get picks at this point, get them because you got to build around Scoot and that's your guys. So,
What about Shaden?
but I haven't seen enough to like build around him. But this year will be huge. I think he should have the ball in his hands more. So it's gonna be interesting. But I mean, Ant and Scoot, that's kind of like that's your core at this point, and to some degree Shaden. But yeah, I'm still OKCS mode. Like if you can get picks, get picks. But I don't expect the Blazers going for this year at all. I actually hope they have the worst record in the league so they can get
I
the
mean,
lottery.
they might surprise a few people. You never know.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever. It's the Blazers. Just get a high draft pick and be good in another 3 years. But okay, let's finish up the NBA with our usual predictions, right? we'll do our finals prediction last, but why don't we do some award predictions? So we'll do MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and the sixth man. So do you want me to go first, or you want the honors of going first? I can read you off.
I can go first. It's fine.
Okay. I'll say
It's not
Rookie
gonna
of the
be.
Year will be the first. Yeah, it will be.
It's not gonna be surprising or juicy or spicy because I think there are pretty clear cut favorites for some of these. I'll say.
Okay.
Uh, Rookie of the
I
year.
think that's
That's a
obvious.
given. You got if Wemby plays the whole year. I mean, in the preseason, he looks insane. He could be a potential All Star in his first year, which is insane. I know the what, and that's in the West. West is extremely stacked, right?
Hmm.
But he could very well be an All Star starter. So he's my no duh Rookie of the year.
Okay. Coach of the Year.
Um, Coach of the year. This is gonna be a little bit of a tough one, I think. But I think I'm going to have to give it to um Darvin Ham just because I think the Lakers build off the season, they have from last year and they have just a better record, a better record than they had last year. So I'm gonna go with my hometown or my favorite team coach there, Darvin Ham.
That's a safe pick. Okay.
Yeah.
Defensive Player of the Year.
I mean, this one's so tough. It's always going to be a coin flip every year, but I think defensive player of the year, it's I'm going to go with Giannis just because I think the loss of Drew Holiday is going to have to make him guard more positions. He can't just anchor the five anymore. I think he'll be a little spread out, more versatile on the wing, as well as anchoring that paint inside. So I'm going to go with Giannis.
Okay. That's a good pick. Sixth Man of the Year.
Six man of the year. This is a tough one. But if he's gonna come, this depends if he comes off the bench or not. But if he does, it's got to be Chris Paul, right? Like it's so hard to bet against
Yeah.
him. Being if he does come off the bench, six man of the year, I'll give it to Chris Paul. But my sleeper pick, you know what? Honestly, I'll give it to Rui. I think he'll be my sleeper pick. I think he has the upside to average 15 to 18 points a game. For this Lakers team, he could be, he kind of was their second option in the playoffs, honestly, with AD not scoring. So I'll give it to Rui.
Okay. That's a good one. MVP. That's always a tough one.
MVP, it's usually tough. The past 3 years, it's been no brainer, and I think this year is no different. It's got to be Jokic. I think he's just the best piece to have in basketball. Triple double machine, can do it all. Just makes the game look too easy.
Okay. Well, that's a safe pick. He didn't win last year, so maybe they'll pick him this year
Yeah.
just because they picked Embiid. We'll do finals predictions after. I'll do my awards first. So my rookie of the year, yeah, Wemby. Let's not get crazy there. Coach of the year, let me go with Eric Spoelstra. Like I feel like we always talk about how good Spoelstra is. He's such a good coach, but where has the recognition been? I think it's time for Eric Spoelstra to get that award. I think he hasn't got it in a while, so I think Spo gets Coach of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year. That's another tough one. I think I picked Giannis last year. I'm gonna pick. Wow, this is a tough one. So tough. I'm gonna pick Draymond Green. I think Draymond Green. We see that obviously the Warriors are gonna go small, so I think he's gonna have to be an absolute anchor down there to be just kind of relevant. Keep them under 120 is the goal for the Warriors. But I think Draymond, he's still one of the best defenders in this league, even at his age. So, and he puts up some stats. So I got Draymond at Defensive Player of the Year. Six man, I think Emmanuel Quickly from the Knicks. He had a great year last year. I think playing behind Brunson, right? We saw what he can do when he has the ball in his hands as the primary guy. I think Quickly gets six man of the year. MVP, you said Jokic. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Giannis. I think Giannis gets
What?
MVP. Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Okay.
Giannis. I know Dame is there, but it's just hard for me to pick Giannis because I truly believe he, he's the best player in basketball to me. Yes, Jokic won, but Giannis, he has the numbers. Voter fatigue, I think, with Jokic, right? We've been talking about him for the last 3 years. I think Giannis wins MVP in a big year. Okay. Last question is our finals prediction. So I'll let you go first.
Lakers Bucks easy.
Lakers Bucks. You didn't even hesitate. There's no like. I mean, that would be great for ratings.
I think Lakers Bucks. I think the
Okay.
Bucks are hands down favored in the East now with Dame. Um, and then Lakers. I just think you know what LeBron. They're a little bit salty. I don't know if you've been hearing the talks. AD and Braun, they've heard the Nuggets. They've heard them talking a little bit. So I think once they see him in the postseason in the Western Conference Finals, it's a different result. So Lakers Bucks.
Okay, that's a good pick. I don't want to be boring and pick the same thing, but it's hard for me not to pick the Bucks. So I'm gonna go with Milwaukee. I think Dame gets that ring, hopefully. But who they play, the West is truly a toss-up, but I'll say Phoenix. I think strictly on paper, they're just too explosive.
That's
With
fair.
Bradley Beal as your third option is pretty insane, honestly. So I'll say Bucks and the Suns as my finals predictions. But I think that's almost about wrapping it up. I have no foolish fools or Staley shenanigans. So you got any state of the 808s?
Yeah, like you have down here. Shout out to Nick Herbig. Finally got his first sack in the NFL. Kind of came at a key time too for the Steelers. So congrats to him. Hopefully we see many more of that. And then, Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma. They squeak out a
Mhm.
win. Just barely against UCF. He survives his old school there. So love to see that. And then Talia leading Maryland to a win over Michigan State. I believe now they are going bowling. So good
Yeah,
for
wow.
Talia.
The local boys are showing out this week. All right, but last but not least, sports fact of the day. We're recording on October 23rd. For good luck, let's go back to last year when Bryce Harper had the quote unquote swing of his life, as Joe Davis said, hit that go ahead 2-run homer to send the Phillies to the World Series, knocking out the Padres last year. So hopefully, some good juju for tomorrow, Bryce. Come on, you got it.
Okay,
But
and also sorry,
that's our sports fact of the day.
Maryland lost, but Talia did okay.
All
Sorry,
right,
I read the
that's
wrong thing.
fine. He still did
Sorry.
good. All right. But I think that's about it for this show. Why don't you close us out, Mr. Fan?
Yeah. Thank you everybody. As usual, we'll have a lot more to talk about next week. All three sports will be going in full effect. So as usual, everybody stay safe, take care, and we'll see you guys next week.